Hello again, my name is Shaden Ringor and welcome back to my channel after 1 full year of not posting. It's been so long that my microphone doesn't even charge anymore. I have to plug it in order for it to work. So bear with me here as we get going again. So a lot has happened in the last year. I've shot everything from weddings to rodeos to commercial to kickboxing, newborns to celebrations of life and everything in between. I love my job and I think I'm super blessed at what I get to do, but sometimes it seems like the business side of photography can drown out the art and the love of photography. And sometimes this business can be exhausting, and if I'm not careful, it can lead to burnout, which has already happened before. In fact, I got burnt out doing photography and I didn't touch my camera for about 7 years. Yes, I also lived in Africa for that duration of time, but my camera was sitting in its case for all of 7 years. And I look back now and I think, like, how many incredible images I could have gotten if I had a better attitude or if I wasn't burnt out before I moved to Africa. And now I look back and I haven't posted a video on YouTube for about a year, which is something I love doing, going out and making images and I guess creating a video and talking about what I love to do. I didn't do it for over a year, and I look back and I think, like, did I miss having fun? Did I miss photography for the art and the love of photography because I was so concerned about the business aspect? And then in the business side of photography, besides, like, you know, the money and the clients and the likes on Instagram and the collabs and et cetera, there's also, like, a better way to describe it, but like Mean Girl movie, you know, the Mean Girl movies or Mean Girls, that type of energy in this industry where it's like, you better be the cool person in this industry or the likable one, and everyone's a clique. And if you burn somebody or someone thinks they got burned from you, then they will destroy you. And it seems like these last few months, I recently got into some type of drama, unfortunately, a miscommunication. And it's like, it seems like I've been getting smeared in the industry and I've lost jobs.
Do you know what everyone says about you? They say that you're a homeschooled jungle freak who's a less hot version of me.
Like, wait a second. Like, yes, it pays my bill. And it kind of stressed me out a little bit. But now I'm thinking back and I'm like, wait a second. Like, yes, it pays my bills, but I want photography to be creative for me and an art for me and something that I love to do, not something that I am anxious over or flustered over or causing me to hate photography. All that to say is I need to be careful in this industry and protect the heart and love of photography. I always want photography to be something that I love to do, and I make jokes about this all the time to my friends, and I say things like, sometimes I'm going to retire as a photographer so that I can do what I love to do, which is to take photos. Because sometimes I get so distracted and so bogged down by the business side, like I said, and staying relevant or staying up to the trends, that it hinders my creative and love for photography. The reason why I want to start this YouTube channel again is because I recently was on YouTube and I came by one of my videos that I made over a year ago, and I watched it and I thought, wow, that person loves taking photos and he loves talking about taking photos. And it almost seemed like that was not me, and it was a completely different person that I am now, because now it's like I'm just on the grind taking photos and business, and I love what I do. I love my clients. I love taking photos at weddings and at, you know, commercial shoots and fun shoots. I love it, but I got to be very careful again that the paycheck at the end of the day, or the likes at the end of the day, or the collabs at the end of the day doesn't smear my love for photography. For me, the craft has to come before Instagram. It has to come before paychecks. Otherwise, I've lost the heart of photography. And I look back at my early years as taking photos for fun, which was like middle school with film, and then the first digital camera really came out. Well, not really, but kind of, I guess. And it was a 2 megapixel digital camera. And those photos that I took on that camera stayed on that camera. And I was the only one that looked at those photos, and I was stoked. I would take photos throughout the day at everything I did, and I would sit in my room and look at the photos and be like, oh, that's a cool photo. That's a cool photo. And sometimes I'd go to Walmart and print those photos. And it was photos that were made for an audience of one, which is for myself. And I look back at those days and I go, those were the golden years of me being a photographer. It wasn't about the likes. It wasn't about the followers. It wasn't about the paychecks. It wasn't about the collabs. It was about one thing. the love of photography. And that's the place and the heart behind when I go into the business side of photography. Because if I lose the heart and I lose the heart and the art of the craft, it's going to show in my work. And then when I hear things about people talking about my photography, that it sucks and it's not good enough, whatever, at the end of the day, I'm going to be like, okay, that's your opinion. I don't care, because I get to do what I love to do, which is to take photos or to make images. As a professional photographer, we want to grow. We want bigger projects, paychecks. We want bigger clients, I guess. We want to collab on bigger things. Those things are all good on the business side, and I will continue to do those into the year 2026. But at the same time, I want to protect my heart and love for the art and the craft of making images. So I think there's a fine line between taking images for a paycheck or taking images for like an end result. And yes, I love taking photos, and I know I meet people in the industry, other photographers in the industry that love taking photos. But if we're honest, at the end of the day, we're taking those photos for a paycheck. We sometimes focus on the deliverables, our portfolio, the likes, the expectations that the clients have, paying for ads, SEO on our website, etc., etc. Sometimes we do all those things and we lose the feel and the emotion of capturing an image. And a photo is all about a feeling or capturing that emotion. That's the type of photographer I want to be, is that someone that captures a feeling or emotion, not just document an image or not just document an event. Yes, we are documenting an event as a photographer, but I want to document the feeling of that event or whatever I'm trying to capture. Sometimes photography becomes about capturing and not so much about creating. And when that becomes the case, the heart of photography starts to fade, which can lead to burnout, which can lead to caring too much about what people think about your craft, which turns out to be making it more about business and growth and money and all these things. And your heart and your love about photography starts to fade. A lot of people that want to start this industry ask me, hey, what kind of camera should I start with? Who should I meet? How should I go about this type of business? And I would tell them my opinion about cameras and about, who you should work for, how to get kind of into the industry. But now that I think about it, it's like the best advice I would give someone is, are you doing it for fun? Is photography a hobby to begin with? If you would go out and shoot and make absolutely no money and no followers and no likes on Instagram, and the only person that sees your image at the end of the day is yourself, would you still go and make images or take photos? If your answer is no, then give up on photography because it's not for you. And sometimes I think to myself, I don't ever want to be in that position where it's like I'm just touching the camera to make money, because that's what I was 10 years ago when I got burnt out. The only time I touched my camera was for a paycheck. And that's when I got burnt out. And that's when I hated photography and didn't touch my camera for 7 years. And I do not ever want to get into that space again. Okay, and that leads me to this quote from my favorite photographer of all times, which is Ansel Adams. And the quote is, quote, "You don't just take images, you make images." And you kind of may have heard me saying it back and forth as I started this video, either make image or take an image, whatever. I know I use them simultaneously, but I wanted to get to a point in my life again where I am making images and not just taking or capturing images. And the reason why Ansel Adams, I think, says that quote is because he believes there must be intention involved when you create or when you make an image. There must be intention. And for me, I don't ever want that intention to be paycheck, likes, followers, or being better or competition.
Why are you white?
I think my intention of capturing an image is the love of capturing an image. So let's talk about my favorite photographer for a second, Ansel Adams. He does a masterful job at creating black and white images on film. And black and white photography is my absolute favorite. And Ansel Adams has really helped me, I guess, in my craft, because I think he created the zone system, which is like basically your blacks are blacks and your whites are whites in the image. And there's all these like zones in between that's pretty much like equal gray areas, so that you get the whole, I guess, dynamic range of an image. There's different ways to, I guess I'm not going to get into that in this video, but maybe I should in another video talking about the zone system. I haven't mastered it yet, and I don't think I ever will, but it's something that I always think about when I go and I make an image, especially black and white. And I think one of the reasons why I love black and white film photography so much is because I don't have a lot of clients that ask for black and white, especially black and white film. So when I do take photos on black and white film, it's like in my mind, it's a whole different thing than the business side of photography. For example, like I have kind of learned to like see things in black and white when I shoot black and white film. And then when I'm shooting like in color, which is like 99.5% of my work, it's like a whole different mentality. So my favorite film is Ilford HP5, and this is 35 millimeter. I don't have any more 120, it's coming in. I have like 20 rolls coming in. But the cameras that I shoot on that is this Pentax 645 and also the giant Mamiya RB67. Yes, these are 120 films. So if you guys know that the box film that I showed you is 35 millimeter, which I do shoot on my EOS 1 or my Nikon FM2. Yeah. And I love shooting Ilford HP5, and what I do is the box speed is 400, but I shoot it at 1600, which is basically pushing it 2 stops. And I develop my own film, and so I'm under shooting or underexposing, and I'm over developing. Basically, when I develop it myself, basically I tend to bake the film longer than I'm supposed to, and I find that does a better job with like the contrast. And then of course I put it into my computer, I scan it, and in post I do mess with like the blacks and the whites and the grays just a little bit, because I want to tweak it so that I can perfect the zone system that Ansel Adams is talking about. And if you have a problem with that, then I don't really care. Yes, I do manipulate my film images on the computer afterwards. I'm just gonna flat out and say it. If you're a purist that's like, oh, then why do you, that's not film, that's not film. Okay, like go watch someone that does that on YouTube, which is probably nobody, because as soon as you develop the film, you're gonna have to scan it either in the Noritsu or the Frontier scanner anyway, which digitalizes the film. And then you're gonna have to put on a profile anyway, because you're gonna change the negative to a positive. So the reason why I love shooting on film, especially on medium format, 120 film, is that depending if I shoot the Mamiya RB65 or the Pentax 645, I either have 10 or 15 images per roll. So that being said, I really have to slow down, compose my image. I have to take measurements on my meter to get the right metering for the zone system. I have to slow down and take a photo. It takes maybe about 10 minutes to get the right composition per photo. And when I'm shooting on my R5 digital, I'm like taking so many photos in a minute. Like, I don't know, I can take hundreds of photos in an hour. Like after a full day at a wedding, I have thousands of photos. So sometimes I love when I'm shooting this type of film with only 10 images, because I have to look at the scenery, I have to slow down, I have to think, I have to look at the subject, I have to compose. Makes me slow down. It makes me not just capture an image, but it makes me make an image. So to wrap this up, I'm coming back to YouTube. Hopefully I'll produce maybe a video a month or one video every 2 months. I don't know. And I don't want to put pressure on it because I want this to be light and free. But I'm coming back on YouTube because I want to protect my heart and the love of creating and making images, and then talking about it after, because that's what I love to do.